Well, on a completely different note, Picture Me is a new docu-film exposing the unattractive side of the modelling industry. It was made by the former top model Sarah Ziff and the director Ole Schell, both of whom have got up very early this morning in New York. But let's have a look now first at a bit of their film.
I just had this really warped perception of, of my body. And in modeling, your body is just your body. And it's not connected to your mind, it's not connected to yourself. It's just you're a body.
A lot of people in the industry we work with, they don't see us as people. So they'll say things in front of you like, "Oh, we would put her in this outfit, except her butt is a little too big for it. Let's put it in this girl. Let's have this girl wear it." And then you start thinking,
so you're a prop.
My butt is too big.
Well, Sarah and Ole join us now. Sarah, it's fascinating stuff. Is your concern primarily sexual exploitation, or is it the whole issue about size zero and models being forced effectively to starve themselves?
I'd say my primary concern was really to give voice to the models who, by nature of their job, are reduced to sort of silent images, and give myself and other girls, friends of mine, a chance to speak about their experience.
But what they say is that very often photographers, far from regarding them as mannequins, if you like, displaying clothes, regarded them as sexual objects.
That's correct, and I think that it's a potentially predatory environment. And one thing that our film sheds light on is that a lot of the models are actually very, very young, 14, 15, 16 years old, starting out in the business. And since it's an unregulated industry, they have very little protection.
Ole, did it surprise you that there was so much exploitation in an industry which, at one level, selling of clothes seems fairly straightforward?
Well, it did, and then it didn't. I was the consummate outsider when it came to fashion. I had no business being backstage at the fashion shows other than being in a relationship with Sarah. But as I spent more time in the fashion world, I realized that the girls were in fact very young, some of them as young as 14, even 13 at times. And a lot of them come from Eastern Europe, a lot of them from poverty, a lot of them from Brazil. And these girls have dropped out of school to pursue this career, and they are naive to some degree, and they're not aware of what some of these photographers are trying to do, and these photographers can at times blur the lines between professionalism and their personal desires. So you can imagine, if you don't speak English, you're not raised in this culture, and you're eager to please, that's sort of a brew for something that's not always in the best interest of the girl.
I mean, you as a filmmaker would know about this. I mean, what you're effectively saying is that the presentation of the models is selling sex rather than fashion. Is that right?
Well, I think the ultimate goal is to sell merchandise, but they are in fact using sex to sell that merchandise. And when we were making this film, I would have to see this imagery of my own girlfriend sort of objectified, and that was something that is a bit hard to swallow. But indeed, I think that they are sexualizing these young girls in a way that is not always healthy.
Sarah, you actually found yourself wondering what was the difference between what you were doing as a model and being a stripper, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. I think sometimes it's confusing for models to differentiate between being part of a commercial image and being part of some sort of artistic project. And that blurry line can sometimes make people do things in the name of, art, or working with a photographer who's well known, who's almost seen as an artist, rather than, maybe the sleaze that it could also be seen as.
Is there a way, do you think, of cleaning it up, or is it inevitable when you're dealing with beauty and young women that this sort of thing's going to go on?
I'd say it's probably inevitable, but I think what does need attention is the fact that a lot of these models look like women, and they're actually 14, 15 years old. and they really shouldn't be put in these compromising situations. There should be, someone looking out for them. Their agencies are, supposed to be sort of surrogate parents, but a lot of the time these girls have no one looking out for them. They're miles away from home. They're far away from friends and family, and I think that is sort of a brew for disasters, potentially.
Sarah and Ole, thank you both for looking so fresh from New York at this early hour of the day, and I hope it stops raining. I think it's raining a lot at the moment. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, that is all for this week. Remember that you can keep up with all the latest political gossip and much else at the Bolton & Co blog, and also look at the website to find clips from this programme and indeed from much else going on Sky News. But that is all for this week. Please join us again at the same time next week and enjoy Midsummer's Day.